Hello, this is Plus TV Africa. Welcome to another interesting episode of 101 as we celebrate ladies in tech in partnership with Tech Cabal. My name is Elsie Godwin. We start this conversation with a seasoned business executive, Funke Alomooluwa. She has 2 decades of experience in both the financial and ICT sectors with a proven track record of successfully guiding major expansion efforts, turnarounds, strategic partnerships and transactions at both public and private sectors. Funke was the Deputy Project Manager and Chief Installation Officer of the Bank Verification Number (BVN) project, initiated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. An alumnus of IESE Business School, Barcelona, Spain, and Lagos Business School Executive MBA program, a fellow of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria (ICANN), Funke holds a degree in Computer Science and Economics combined honors from the Funke Alomooluwa University, Ile-Ife. She is a member of the Nigerian Computer Society, member of the Institute of Directors (IOD), and an associate member of Women in Business (WIMBIZ). She touched on the importance of association for women. Let's listen to this conversation. Thank you, Madam Funke, for being here with us on Plus TV Africa.
Thank you, Elsie.
Okay, from what I see here, you're a member of the Nigeria Computer Society, member of the Institute of Directors, that's IOD, and associate member of Women in Business, WIMBIZ.
Yes, miss.
How important is association to you? And would you recommend being part of an association to a young lady who is looking to build a career in tech?
Thank you so much, Elsie, for that question. I believe that association is very important. The best of us is not as good as all of us.
Okay.
And when you join an association, it gives you opportunity to a wider perspective. You meet people. By meeting people, you're able to improve your own knowledge base. Apart from the fact that it helps you to contribute, you're also able to improve your own knowledge base. From improving your knowledge base, you can improve your perspective. You can improve. It helps you, the quality of our lives is actually dependent on the quality of our network. And when you join an association, it already shows a select set of people. For instance, WIMBIZ gives you access to quality women that are doing great in their profession. LBS alumni, for you to have been part of Lagos Business School alumni, that means you must have done some courses there. It already profiles you, and when such people meet you, they are no longer checking your integrity. When you join IOD, you are able to learn, you are able to meet other directors from other companies. You are able to learn from what they are doing, and you are also able to share your perspective.
Okay, let's focus a bit on WIMBIZ, because that's a women association, women in business, right? Yeah. And there is this phrase that goes around of people saying women supporting women. Yeah. Would you say you're seeing a lot of that in the tech industry and also in this association you're part of?
Yes, I can say that WIMBIZ is actually doing a lot in terms of women supporting women. For instance, the last conference was about Unstoppable You. Okay. So one of the things they did was to actually bring a lot of women that have succeeded, despite all, women that have chosen to be great by choice, not based on their circumstances. So these are people that if you sit in your house, you do not have access to that network. Okay. But based on their network, they were able to bring that, and everybody was able to contribute to it. So you listening to such women has also inspired you. And one of the ideas I was able to implement at work was based on my attending one of the women conferences, and I heard somebody sharing about how she was able to implement a dream, and that actually helped me to implement something that I had in mind for about 18 months, and I didn't know how to go about it. So I believe being part of an associations is very, very important, and that I wish I had started earlier.
Oh, okay. I was going to the part of starting earlier, but before we go to that, you mentioned you responded for WIMBIZ. Yeah. Now, are you seeing women supporting women in the tech industry?
Yes.
Okay.
Women are supporting women in this tech industry, but I believe we can also do better. There are different initiatives. There are STEM, you know, that women in tech are now going to secondary schools to make sure that they can actually encourage more women, more girls to read science, technology, mathematics.
Okay, so in your profile, you said, and I think this is coming up again, where you said you wish you had discovered yourself earlier,
Yes.
or rather in the early days, and stopped dreaming to be a medical doctor.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Would you like to talk more on that?
Okay, thank you so much. So while I was in secondary school, I was sort of good in all the subjects. And of course, the natural parents you want, it's either you want to be a lawyer or you want to be a doctor. And then my father, I actually wanted to be a lawyer first. And my father said, no, 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 art is limited, don't do that. It's better to be a doctor. So I spent a good part of my secondary school thinking of being a doctor. I even wrote a JAM where I filled medicine, and but eventually I was able to discover that I seemed to be able to remember figures. I was very good in mathematics, and I felt computer science would be very good for me, and that has shaped my career today. So I wish I had started that earlier, rather than daydreaming, wasting a whole year writing JAM to be a medical doctor.
Okay, so negotiation is one of your core competencies. Would you say this is from your background as a financial person, or it's just a skill you developed?
Negotiation is a skill I developed during my first managerial role. So by the time I became a manager, I was in a role where we needed to employ people, and then the people come to ask for, of course we have a salary scale, and they come to ask for a certain amount, and then we need to negotiate with them. And apart from that, we also had international partners that we needed to negotiate with. So they were things that I had to develop along the line.
Okay.
I actually went to Lagos Business School for a week's course on negotiation.
Yes. Okay.
And then based on practice, I was able to develop it, because life is all about compromise. You won't always get your way. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you learn, and sometimes you just compromise.
How important would you say negotiation is to an entrepreneur?
Negotiation is very important to an entrepreneur, because for an entrepreneur, you have suppliers, you have customers. So at all times, you are negotiating with both of them. So it's the quality of your negotiation that determines the margin that is left for your business. So if you are very poor in negotiation, if you keep winning at all times, then you may discover you don't have any customer, you don't have any supplier and all that. So I believe it's a skill that is very important.
So winning at all time can be a problem?
Yes, it can be a problem.
Really? How exactly? Because you're not compromising a lot?
Winning at all time, you don't need, there are times where you don't need to win.
Okay.
Because you want to, there was a partnership we went into, and along the line, while we had done our part, the partner did not do their own part. So if you look at it in terms of, if you just look at it physically, then they are on the wrong, we are on the right, but they are the partners. Okay. So when you look at the balance of power seems to be higher with them. So at that point in time, we did not win. We compromised. It's a relationship that is still profitable up till now, and we are leveraging on that relationship to do other things. But if we had insisted that on that just transaction we want to win, then there would have been nothing to leverage on today. Okay,
so in a nutshell, it's very important to know when to win and when to just compromise and let things go.
Yes.
Okay, so you were Deputy Project Manager and Chief Installation Officer while the bank verification number was being initiated with the CBN. Yes. How was this idea initiated?
The BVN project was actually initiated to solve fraud in the financial system. That was in the days when I could go to a bank and go to Bank A and get a loan as Funke Alomooluwa. Okay. Go to another bank and get a loan as Veronica Alomooluwa. Go to another bank and get a loan as Funke Alomooluwa. And all the three identities will exist, and there is no way to tie them together. So one of the things the BVN actually did in salvaging this, because all the banks were actually suffering from that fraud. So all the banks came together and they decided that let us solve the problem of identity. So it was more to solve the problem of identity and also fraud. Okay. Because when you can uniquely identify people, then fraud can be taken care of.
No matter what bank they go to.
Yes. So with BVN today now, everything can be tied together. So we can know all the money that Elsie has in the banking However, when the project was initiated, in order to ensure acceptable buying, we didn't call it was not called that. It was called Know Your Customers. So that was the face of the project. So it was more like a KYC project, but the main intention was to actually sanitize and curb fraud in the banking industry.
As a woman in the industry, have you faced any form of discrimination? And if you have, how did you handle it? That sounded like you're facing one right now.
Discrimination, it has always been there, but I think the most important thing is being able to handle it based on the negotiation to say, if I get involved in this, what is the price of it? And then if you know that the price is not really going to be worth it, then you let it go. And so many times what I just try to do is I allow time to sort it.
Okay. Welcome back. You're watching Plus TV Africa. Next up is this conversation with Dr. Olayinka David West, who breaks down the intricacies of being a researcher and letting the girl child blossom in any chosen field. With a first degree in computer science and MSc in business systems analysis and design from University of London and a DBA from the University of Manchester, she's currently a senior fellow and the academic director of Lagos Business School. Prior to joining the Lagos Business School, she was head of e-business at National Bank of Nigeria. She's also a digital financial services expert, consulting regularly for the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She serves on the board of a fintech business as a non-executive director. She's also a governing council member of the Fintech Association of Nigeria. Thank you, Yinka, for being with us at Plus TV Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so one of your core competence is your interest in research.
Yes.
When did you realize that you have a special interest, and how has it helped you so far?
I think realizing you have a special interest in research is something that is intuitive to us all from when we're growing up, because when you ask questions of why or how or what happened, or you probe different things, I think that has always been innate in us, and it's a talent that we haven't really exercised much. And research is really about scientific inquiry and investigation into identifying what are the elements of a problem. And with research, it's really, you can ask and answer any question. It's really about taking a question and just saying, why does this happen in this kind of manner, or why does it not happen in this kind of manner? So it's a process that takes you through, first of all, what's the problem or the question you're trying to ask, and why is it relevant asking a question in this particular area? Okay. And then you look around and say, okay, how have other people addressed this problem before? Because I think that one thing research identifies with is the fact that there is nothing new under the sun, and we're building on what other people have done. So in the world of research, we ask the question that what are you contributing to knowledge? And there must be a contribution that you're saying, okay, if a study or a model was developed in Tanzania and you're trying to say how applicable is the same thing in Nigeria, then the addition to knowledge is that you've extended the use of that model in more than one African country in general. And then you can say, oh, yes, we might all be in Africa, but different contextual issues differ us and make us different. So that's what research is. So when you've done that, then you now present your findings, and the presentation of findings can unearth new things, and it can unearth even more, you can bring up more questions that you need to go back and answer. So it's an iterative process, it's a constant process that doesn't really end, and it doesn't change. And within that process, you're learning about scientific theories in general. You might be creating new scientific theories, because a lot of the theories we have are from developed economies in general, and not all of them are relevant in our African or Nigerian context in general. So you might take a theory and then you might find out that, in Nigeria, some aspects are not applicable. So you're extending or modifying a theory. You're learning about how do I present results, because some of the research we do is participant-centered. So you have to go out and get experiences either through surveys or case studies using businesses, and then you present your results either using statistical tools or different type of tools. So, and then you now discuss the results, because they must be relevant to industry in terms of relevant to practice, relevant to other researchers, and sometimes research can be policy oriented and say, no, what's the relevance to policymakers in a different area? So you're always trying to ensure that it speaks to the audience that you're trying, so you can create a change in society in general. So research is not something that we do as, oh, let's just do it and publish in journals and have these academic accolades. They're actually supposed to... There's already
purpose for it.
Exactly, to convert and be that feedback loop back into business, back into society, to help create the change that we need. And so at Lagos Business School, we find out that that's a core element, because we're trying to develop transformational leaders for Africa. And the whole idea of being transformation is that you really have to understand what's going on and have the tools to be able to come and say, these are the changes we need to make, and then the leadership skills and styles to execute those changes.
Okay, so would you say curiosity is one of the core attributes of anyone who would be classified a researcher?
Then we're all researchers in general. But yes, curiosity is the first thing, but I think it's about curiosity and then the scientific process that goes along with curiosity, because in the world of research, there's engaging on a research project or writing a research paper, there's several processes that you must go through. When you're writing a research paper, it's really 5 key topics or sections. You have an introduction, you have a literature review, you have your methodology, you have your results and your discussion and conclusion. And everybody knows that, but it's a scientific process.
What's the difference for someone who has a major interest in research and someone who just reads a lot? What's the difference?
I think they can be complementary. If you take the readings, because we read a lot, we absorb a lot of knowledge. And when we now begin with what we know, what do we do with what we know is the question we need to be asking. Is what we know applicable in our environment, in our business, in our workplace in general? So if you know something new and you want to come out and try it out here, how do you know it works, or how do you know it applies here? And that's the process of research. So research might be, oh, you have a new idea and you bring it into this environment and you say, let's try it out. What worked? And you're documenting what worked, what didn't work. And you say, oh, how did other people do it? So you read a lot and then you now begin to narrow down all that reading. It's like a funnel. You start very wide and you funnel and narrow down to a specific question and you say, okay, this particular thing, it does work if you do it in this particular way. Then you can come back again and say, you worked in this industry, or does it work in every other industry? And that's how you begin to grow and extend research. So reading is a big component of it. You can't do research as an activity. You have to do it because a lot of it is about taking old knowledge and fusing it with new findings, and then you now take advanced knowledge in general. Okay,
so I read somewhere that your mom is responsible for the fact that you studied computer science. So tell us about your background, your parents, and how they've helped direct your path.
Okay, I think in every life, parents are very instrumental in helping and guiding you in general. And I think my parents were super instrumental, and so I was super fortunate to be able to be brought up in a home like that. But first of all, I think in terms of studying, so yes, she decided that you would study computer science, and it wasn't really a conversation. It was just an instruction, and that was it. So it was not, you couldn't, in those days you didn't really argue with your parents. You just took it as what they did. But again, I think the complementary part of it was making the decision, but accepting the decision, and then also the support we got. Okay, so when we said we were going to study computer science, first thing my dad said was, okay, you must have a computer. So he wasn't studying in abstract. So we went then over the summer, before we went to buy the computer and everything, I hadn't even started university at this time.
What year was this?
This was in 1986.
Wow.
All right. So he said, first of all, you must go to typing school. So he registered myself and my sister in typing school, and that because he said the keyboard and the typewriter are the same. So at least if you want to be conversant with a computer, at least start with a typewriter. So we went to typing school and learned ASDFG, semicolon, LKJH, and all those things. And then bought the computer and gave me the environment to install the computer and set it up. And then I was able to work from home and be more productive. So I think in terms of parenting and how you support your children through education and career planning and paths and things like that, I think first of all is help them with the decisions, guide them, but support them with the tools and resources they need to learn as well.
You have the ability to play both sides, business and technology. How do you manage these skills to help yourself, at least to your own advantage?
Okay, I think business and technology, but I'll be honest with you, technology is my deep passion. But one of the things that has always stimulated me is the fact that business doesn't really understand technology and technology doesn't really understand business. And that bridge has always existed, where you find that a lot of people like the idea of technology. They appreciate what technology can do. But when they talk to people like me, we don't speak the same language. We tell them about bits and bytes and servers and this, and we use all these words that, you know, people don't understand. And don't forget that human beings are very funny creatures, where when we don't understand something, rather than seeming ignorant, we keep quiet. Okay, so you find out that a lot of businesses in those days were acquiring technology. You can have the device, but it's not going to add value to your life in general. So a lot of businesses were stuck in, we've bought this, we've bought this, we've bought this, but there was no middle, you know, it's like what we call middleware, right? Like the soft side, to bring the two together and have the conversations towards executing and giving back something into the organization. So for me, when I joined the business school, that was really one of my goals, in the sense where, let me talk to business people about technology. And when I teach in class, so I have an MBA class of both, some business people, some technology people. So the technology people come into class feeling very happy with themselves, that yes, they're in their own domain now, right? Since we're talking technology. But I tell you, so when I ask them to explain something, and they start with the technical terms, I listen, then I ask the rest of the class, did anyone understand that? And everybody's like, no. And you know what I do to them? Explain it.
Break it down.
Yes. Because there's no point in communicating with people or talking with people when you can't communicate. So I ask them, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then my theory is that you don't even understand it yourself. So it's about helping people understand things, not confusing people or making people feel stupid. So that's what I do at the business school, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it's fun.
It is, I can see that. Okay, so in an interview you did with Tech Cabal, you said something, and I just want to read it out. I will need to clarify it. It was when you were asked the question on your thoughts on women in technology, and you said, I read, working in tech is beyond a job or a paycheck. It's a consuming ecosystem. So you have to have a deep passion for it. If you're no longer feeling it, cut yourself loose. Otherwise, you will get no rewards and would have wasted your time. I would love to get your take on that, and then just expand it.
Working in tech is not 9 to 5. It's not the sort of work that you come in the morning and do, and you leave it in the office and go home. It consumes you. It's, you know, it's going back to that issue about you have a problem, right? Or you have a system to install, or you have a program to write. You know what you want it to do, but it's just not working. And so you don't leave it until it works. For women, it's a bit more difficult because you have other responsibilities in life. And so some women are finding that, oh, you're working in tech, you get home, the first thing you do is still bring out your laptop, and it's not very conducive for home building and family life. So when I said that, I said, see, you have to be committed to it. It's not something you do part-time or ad hoc or because it's nice to do today. It's something that you have to be committed to. You have to work your life around it to ensure that, yes, you can succeed in the different dimensions of life as well as succeed in tech. Tech doesn't close, and then tech also changes. It evolves. So you have to continually renew your knowledge. It's not like some of these bookkeeping or anything that is the same ledger, debit and credit. Every day you come today, there's a new system, there's a new this, there's a new that, there's a new technology. We're talking about driverless cars, we're talking about AR, virtual reality. So you have to continually, it's lifelong. And so when I said that, I said, see, if you know you don't have the passion or you don't have the interest, there's no point, because you will be miserable. Because everybody else is going to, you know, it's like sitting in a room where, have you ever been to
of people leaving you behind?
Yes. Have you ever been to a DJ-less disco, or one of these discos that you have your own DJ in your ears, and you
silent disco.
Silent disco, exactly. So when you go to a silent disco, you see everybody else dancing, but you don't know what they're dancing to. True. And you can't say they're mad or they're crazy or anything like that, but they're dancing to whatever they're hearing, but you're just not hearing the same thing. So It's the same thing with tech. Everybody is on their own wave. And if you go to any tech conference today, you see brilliant people, you see brilliant innovations. And so if you're not there, you can't appreciate the brilliance because you just feel that, oh, you've lost it. So change professions. And that's what I meant, yeah.
All right. So before I let you go finally,
Okay.
Tech Lagos Women Exhibition is coming up very soon.
Yes.
You're part of this. Why are you part of it? And what do you think it's going to do for the industry?
Why am I part of it? Okay, I think this is the only industry I've worked in for the last almost 30 years now. And I think it's a miraculous thing to begin to showcase what women can do, first of all. And I think when you look around today and you look at the way the world is going, we live in a fourth industrial revolution. We talk about work changing and the future of work and all these things. And it's a digital economy, whether we like it or not. But yet we have a mindset that says, oh, certain subjects are girl subjects, certain subjects are boy subjects. I don't think that's true. I don't think, when we talk about capabilities and abilities, we all have the same capabilities and abilities. So it's just about how do we help people exercise what's already innate in them? And how do we help young girls today, because don't forget that your mindset is shaped by your community, your society, your family, and things like that. How do we help young girls today see a brighter future? How do we help them remake their own visions to ensure that, you know what, I can be a tech startup person. I can be a teacher of chemistry. I can do these things because when they talk about, oh, know your strengths, know your weaknesses and things like that, what I say is play to your strengths. Don't try and fix your weaknesses. You will never be good at it. So why are you trying to bother change something that you know what, you don't even enjoy, you don't have the passion for? So play to your strengths, right? Build your strengths. And some of these people have amazing strengths in terms of just their ability to think, their ability to process, and don't forget the kids of nowadays, their brains are much sharper than ours. I don't know about you. They can multitask, they can be playing games and they're having a conversation or watching television all at the same time. So how do we harness that and build an economy and build a society? And then when you think about women in general, women are more stable in terms of development, right? So you can bring a woman into a business and she will grow with you. We're builders, whether in the home, whether in institutions. So when you bring a woman that has talent and capability, that business will grow and thrive. And so for me, being part of this Tech Cabal Women in Technology is critical because what we do, we're very understated, right? We don't exactly go out and take adverts and say, see what we did here today, see what we did there today. And so people feel that there's nothing going on. Because when you hear about all the tech leaders, a lot of them are the men. So there's nothing going on. So let's even begin to talk about ourselves and promote these things and let people see that, oh, you know what? Women too exist in this ecosystem and they're doing different things because we cut across various dimensions of either the horizontal dimension or even different verticals like academia, finance, and all sorts of other things. So let's show that it's not a man's world.
That's it on this episode. Stay tuned to Plus TV Africa as we bring you more interesting conversations to inspire you. Don't forget to follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. My name is Elsie Godwin. See you soon.